Hello viewer, this is the first episode in this series. We're going to discuss a specific country by three specific criteria: economy, politics, and foreign policy. In order to understand the country's stand in international politics, we need to understand all of three criteria. Today we're going to discuss Russia and its economy. Every statistical data presented in this video is going to be pre-pandemic period in order to exclude any exceptions that don't make sense. As we all know, the Russian Federation is the largest country in the world. However, it has a very modest economy in comparison to its geography. In 2019, the gross domestic product of the Russian Federation was $1.7 trillion, and it ranks as the 11th largest economy in the world. In 2019, Russia was producing 11 million barrels of crude oil every day. The overall export of crude oil in 2019 is estimated as $121 billion. As for the natural gas, in 2019, Russia exported more than 230 billion cubic meters of natural gas. The main importer of the Russian natural gas is the Western European market, which constitutes of about 70% of the total natural gas export. Overall, the oil and gas sector contributed 15% to the Russian GDP and 20% to the annual budget. Based on these figures, we can conclude that Russian Federation is heavily dependent on the export of natural resources. From revenues to expenses, the military component is a very important one to have because every country wants to demonstrate its power, and as we know, the Russian Federation clearly demonstrates its military might in every conflict possible nowadays. In 2019, Russia spent $65 billion on its military budget, and it ranked as top 5 military countries in the world. Russia is one of the largest arms exporter in the world. In the period of 2014 to 2018, Russia was contributing over 20% to the market. However, in 2019, the arms sales decreased from $6.5 billion in 2018 to $4.7 billion in 2019. Despite the fact that social policies are the largest expenses according to the Ministry of Finance of the Russian Federation, the population remains relatively poor. Over 20 million people are under the poverty line according to statistics. The GDP per capita, in comparison to the average of the European Union, remains 3 times lower. But that's not all. The population since 2014 is leaving the country, and almost every 5th citizen desires to leave the country if they have the capacity. The problem is also that the working population wants to leave. These are the people from 15 to 29 age category. By 2050, according to UN, the Russian population will severely decrease due to low birth rate. Sanctions also significantly influence the development of economy. Since 2014, United States, EU, and their allies have imposed sanctions on Russia in response to Russia's annexation of Crimea and occupation of the eastern parts of Ukraine. In total, 15 economic, 12 financial, and 22 corporate sanctions have been imposed on Russia since 2014 to 2018 period. Sanctions include not only politicians or the financial sector, but the energy projects like Nord Stream 2. By the way, if you haven't seen my video on sanctions on Nord Stream 2, just click it and watch it. It's very interesting. The outflow of the private capital also demonstrates that the Russian economy is unhealthy. Since 2014 to 2018 period, Russia lost hundreds of billions of dollars of private capital. We cannot say that this trend was caused solely by the sanctions. However, since sanctions went into force, this trend drastically increased. Despite the fact that the government of the Russian Federation says that sanctions do not influence the economy, the ordinary citizens have definitely felt the impact of them. Since 2014, Russia also enabled the countermeasures against the countries who have joined the sanctions against Russia. These measures include the embargo on the food products, which include meat, dairy, fruits and vegetables, pork, and so on. Since 2014, it caused the shortage of the food, and the prices have temporarily spiked up. Also, we should not forget about the ruble, which has devaluated more than 100% since 2014. It may sound grotesque, but all the agricultural products that have been under embargo have been just bulldozed by the government of the Russian Federation. Corruption, according to Transparency International's data, is also a very influential indicator of the economy. Russia ranked 129th among 180 countries. According to the Heritage Foundation's report, Russia ranked as the 43rd out of 45 economies of Europe as the least free country. However, the real corruption rate is unknown, and we can only guess what the real corruption rate is. If we take into account that the FSB colonel and the deputy head of the Ministry of Interior's Anti-Corruption Office, what a coincidence, during their arrest have been seized from more than $300 million from their apartment. And if you watch the Alexei Navalny's corruption videos, the amount of corruption is staggering. Since the international relations are all about the countries, every country or state must have the future. The future is only made by the innovation, technology, and science. The Russian Federation since 1960s is no longer in the lead of the technology or science in the world. If in 1960s the Soviet Union basically dominated the space, today private companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin will dominate the future of it. Intellectual patent applications are also good indicators of the technological development of the country. According to the data, Russia is not even in top 5. The brain drain is also a serious problem for the Russian Federation in the long term. Since 2014, scientists, IT specialists, economists, journalists have been leaving the Russian Federation consistently. Last but not least, if we look at who the richest people in Russia are, we could see that these are the people who are just sitting on the natural resources, thus creating the largest wealth inequality in the world. If we compare them to their American colleagues, we could see that these people are literally creating the future. Thank you guys for watching. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to comment in the comment section. See you next time.